Don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Want to give a special shout out to everybody that checked out yesterday's episode. I really do appreciate it. A lot of dialogue there, a lot of feedback. A lot of positive reviews, man. So I want to say thank you to each and every one of you that checked out the video. And if you didn't, make sure that you check out yesterday's episode. We talked a little bit about some of the issues that's been plaguing the New Orleans Saints and having a serious conversation about what this team needs to do going forward. But the New Orleans Saints are trying to make moves, trying to put their best foot forward as they are a 5-5 team right now, leading the NFC South, and they are on the bye week, so the Saints are taking it upon themselves to try to improve. Head coach Sean Payton, I wish. Head coach Dennis Allen talked a little bit about that. He talked about how this team needs to hit the reset button, how they need to start over, try to go back to the drawing board and try to get ready for the back half of the season. So the New Orleans Saints, what do? Do they try to go out here and try to, be aggressive and, I don't know, try to sign somebody that kind of can move the needle a little bit? Absolutely not. What they do is they go out here and they get a 34-year-old linebacker / defensive end and Jason Pierre Paul. Now, Jason Pierre Paul, I'm pretty sure everybody heard about him. He was a star when he was drafted out of South Florida back in 2010 by the New York Giants. He was a two-time Pro Bowler. In 2011, he was a first-team All-Pro. He has 94.5 sacks throughout his career and has played in over 190 games. And last season, Jason Pierre Paul played for the Baltimore Ravens. He played with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was a part of their team, I think, when they won a championship, if I'm not mistaken. And now Jason Pierre Paul was signed to the Saints practice squad in an effort to try to improve, I guess. I don't have a problem with this whatsoever. Do I think that Jason Pierre Paul will be able to move the needle at this particular stage? Absolutely not. I feel like he's probably one of the guys that can probably add some depth in case somebody goes down. You can activate, be a part of your rotation. But at the age of 34 years old, I think it's safe to say that Jason Pierre Paul's best days are behind him. I think the only thing at this particular point he would be playing for would be trying to get to 100 sacks throughout his career, because when you start to get into that territory, when you reach that monumental milestone, it makes it more appealing on a Hall of Fame resume. And he definitely does have a Hall of Fame resume. So by adding those sacks that he needs, those 5.5, in order for him to be able to get over that hump and become a Hall of Famer, I think that's probably what he's trying to do. Look, I think that the New Orleans Saints issues are much deeper than trying to sign Jason Pierre Paul. At this particular point, Who Dat Nation, I'm just kind of sick of watching Dennis Allen act as if we're just a bunch of idiots. I think the numbers on YouTube, or when he talks and when he does interviews, and how low they are, speaks volumes about how Saints fans feel about this dude. And also, it's starting to become frustrating because upon me getting on here live, because we are live right now, I found out that the Buffalo Bills have fired their offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey. Ken Dorsey was the offensive coordinator and named offensive coordinator back in 2022. after Brian Daboll decided to become the head coach of the Giants. And as a offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey was 18-8. I mean, he was probably the most winningest offensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken, with the Buffalo Bills. So that's pretty impressive right there. And they fired him. They fired him because as of right now, the Buffalo Bills are 5-5. They are a 500 team, just like the New Orleans Saints. And they felt like they needed a change. Like, this is not just one of those teams that's probably going to be picking in the top 5. The Buffalo Bills have been in championship contention over the last 4 to 5 years. They have been knocking on the door of the Super Bowl for the last 4 to 5 years. And they have decided to go out here and make a tough decision and firing an offensive coordinator that is knowledgeable of what they're doing and honestly is important to what they were doing going forward. And they were willing to sacrifice that in order for them to become better. Now, Joe Brady will be the new offensive coordinator, former LSU coordinator, former coordinator with the Carolina Panthers. He had a little bit of ups and downs throughout his career, but nevertheless, he will get that opportunity. I say that to say this. It just seems funny to me how you have teams out here that are really good already, like the Philadelphia Eagles, but they're still trying to work out guys like Anthony Barr to try to improve their defense. You got the San Francisco 49ers going out here aggressively going after Chase Young, giving a 3rd-round pick to the Washington Commanders to send him over there to an already stacked defensive line. And you have other teams around the National Football League that add depth to their team, like Chase Claypool going to the Miami Dolphins when you already have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. But that tells you right there what direction and where the focus is. These teams are trying to win it all. These teams are trying to get better. These teams are trying to get over the hump. And then you have teams like the New Orleans Saints that are just trying to stay afloat. They're a team that's just trying to make it, just trying to make people happy. They're the nice corner store that's been in a community for I don't know how long. I mean, it needs new shingles on the roof. It needs a new paint job. But guess what? They just feel like everybody going to roll up in there anyway. So it doesn't matter about appearance, right? That is what the New Orleans Saints look like. And there's a difference between teams that are going to get it and teams that are trying to get it. And right now the Saints are trying to get it, but they're not getting it aggressively. But that is on brand with the modern day New Orleans Saints. The lack of aggression on the field and lack of aggression off the field. And quite frankly, I'm just sick to my stomach. I'm sick to my stomach watching Dennis Allen parade as a head coach. I'm sick and tired of watching this dude try to muster up a level of enthusiasm to get people riled up and make people care about what he's talking about. But in reality, everybody and their mama know that this dude is in way over his head. But instead, they want to pretend. Okay, we can pretend all day and night. But the reality is we know how this story is going to end. But nevertheless, I have absolutely nothing against Jason Pierre Paul. But I don't think Jason Pierre Paul can do anything at this stage of his career to help the New Orleans Saints get better. It's not like we about to see Jason Pierre Paul turn back the clock more often than not. The issue with the New Orleans Saints is they need a consistent pass rush. Okay? They need a consistent pass rusher. They need to get pressure on the quarterback, get him down on the ground. They need some guys that are edge rushers that can be able to play the sidelines and be able to contain some of these running quarterbacks that have been beating down the Saints defense throughout the entire time Dennis Allen has been the head coach, and you can probably go a little bit further than that. And if you're not going after guys like that, then excuse me for not being as excited as a 4-year-old going to Chuck E. Cheese, but it's not going to move the needle for me. You're still in the same position that you're in, and your inability to acknowledge some of the imperfections and do anything about it just makes me less and less enthused about the 2023 New Orleans Saints. Still going to watch them. Still going to watch them. Still going to support them. But don't try to, don't try to pee in the air and tell me it's raining here. Like, I'm not a fool. None of you are fools. We know what the main issue is. And if you're not going to fix it, then you must be okay with ineptitude. So there you go. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments. I really do appreciate each and every one of you being here. I appreciate that. Let me read some of your comments, and I will be opening up the phone lines in just a few minutes to hear what you all have to say. We can go in any direction you want. We can go in any direction that you want. I know sometimes I mumble my words. We will go in any direction that you want, and we can talk about Dennis Allen. We can talk about the off week. We can talk about Jason Pierre Paul. The floor will be yours. No cap, no filter say, I can't be wrong, but I seen Roach been a better interior D lineman than Sanders this season. I don't know about that, man. I think that both of them possess certain skills, and you have Colin Sanders that is athletic. I mean, they both have been getting it. You know, I don't think that either one of those guys are lacking. I think that both of them possess certain skills, and they show it every single Sunday. So let's see. TJ, you already know we're not going to pick him up because of DA's allegiance to Carmichael. Yeah, I mean, look, all I know is this. You can be attached to the hip all you want to, but I mean, just as long as you attach to the hip after week 17 or whenever you get put out the playoffs, and y'all lock and step on y'all way out the door. Like Pammy said one time, say that you ain't even gotta make two pink slips. Just share the same one. Just get them up out of here, in my opinion. Like, do whatever you want at this point. If you're too stubborn, and I don't know, like this is very, very weird to me. The lack of urgency when it comes to this team trying to get better and trying to improve and acknowledging some of the imperfections and how nothing is really changing. It kind of scares me. It makes me feel like somebody has been told like they got their job in the bag no matter what. Like Dennis Allen is not moving like a guy whose job is in jeopardy or is on a hot. Mickey Loomis doesn't care about what fans have to say about Dennis Allen. Maybe he is that invested in Dennis Allen. But and honestly, you have to ask yourself why. Like, what is so appealing about Dennis Allen, and what have you seen from Dennis Allen that tells you that he is the right guy for the job? Like, look around the National Football League and look at what credible coaches do in certain situations. Tell me, what does Dennis Allen do that mirrors any one of the great coaches that you see going out there every single Sunday? Besides the fact that maybe, I don't know, you want a level of power that you didn't have with Sean Payton. I'm talking Mickey Loomis. Maybe you got tired of playing the background. Maybe it's the fact that you can actually, in some ways, control Dennis Allen because Dennis Allen doesn't have the cachet of Sean Payton. Nobody is willing to walk to the stadium or go to Airline Highway with pitchforks if you were to do something to Dennis Allen, like they would have if you did something to Sean Payton. So maybe it's just this newfound power that he possesses, this new shadow that he casts now, a shadow that seems bigger now that Sean Payton is gone. I'm just wondering, are we on some Dallas Cowboys stuff where Jerry Jones wants to be the huge shadow and he wants the coach kind of to serve as the puppet? Are we on that? Because I'm just wondering, because there's nothing that I've seen. And honestly, over the last few games, you can't even hang your hat on defense. So what have you seen from Dennis Allen that is so appealing that you are willing to alienate an entire fan base? Because everybody's upset. Like, you got some people out there that's going to, just be contrarians, like everybody else saying that Dennis Allen needs to go. I want to be the one person that stands up for Dennis Allen. Like, you got a couple of them out there, but for the most part, everybody want to see this dude up out the door. So I'm just wondering, like, what the heck are you doing at this particular point? I'm just wondering if is what's going on much deeper than we even imagine. I'm just wondering, because we know that ego plays a huge role in sports, and it's not just on the field either. You got some agents, you got some GMs, you got some executives, some owners, like they got egos. So I don't know. Maybe that's something that we're dealing with. And if we're dealing with that, it's much bigger than the X's and O's and the execution and coaches. Let's see, Mickey Loomis. Well, you look around and it's teams like the Bills that are contenders that 5-5 also, so we can turn things around after the bye with Dennis. Look, I don't even care about this at this point. Like, this is much deeper than that. Like, it's not like if we want to talk about 2023, fine, but it's much deeper than that. Like, I'm not even concerned about 2023, and here's why. Because all of this is a mirage. It's a lie. Like, regardless to what they do, I don't feel like I don't feel like what they're doing right now is going to be sustainable success going forward. I don't care what they do. I don't care if they decide to keep Dennis Allen, get rid of Pete Carmichael, replace him with somebody else. Guess what? It's still going to be the same old song and dance, because you have a quarterback that is more into himself than the team. You got some players on the team that he rubbed the wrong way, and I feel like they still have that in their mind. And I don't think that that's going to change. And yeah, you can go out here with this schedule where they're playing some mediocre quarterbacks, bottom of the barrel teams, and you can get into the playoffs due to the fact that your division is trash. But guess what? Like I said before, you're setting yourself up for failure. If the New Orleans Saints win the division, guess what? Next season, no matter what division they play division champions. So let's just say, for example, they're supposed to play the majority of the NFC East, but you have to play one team in the NFC West, right? That one team is going to be the 49ers. More than likely, they're going to be the division champion. If you end up playing teams out of a team out the AFC West, you playing the Kansas City Chiefs. If you're playing a team out the East, you're going to be playing the Miami Dolphins. Do you feel like if the Saints with a schedule like that, do you feel like they're going to be 500 at this particular stage? Absolutely not. You are barely scratching 500 with a sorry schedule, with a weak schedule. You're playing against powder puff quarterbacks for the most part. No disrespect to them, but that's how the league looks at them. Like, nobody is losing sleep going up against Gardner Minshew on a Sunday, or even Josh Dobbs, as well as he's been playing. So you basically setting yourself up for failure. Like, people like, well, if we win the division, like, okay, we win the division, that's great. But it is not sustainable success. It's almost like, I'll say this, for all my Nintendo people out there that grew up playing Nintendo, it's like Mike Tyson Punch-Out. The first round, you go up against Glass Joe. Glass Joe is pretty easy. You don't even have to press buttons to knock, maybe 2 or 3 buttons, and you got Glass Joe on the ground. But keep on playing, you're going to have to play Mr. Green, or if you had the Mike Tyson copy, you playing Mike Tyson. And you know that one hit a quitter, he going to knock you out cold, and you have to hurry up and tap them buttons to try to get back up. That is what's going on right now. The Saints are playing Glass Joe, right? And we're all excited because we beat Glass Joe, but guess what's going to happen when you have to play Mr. Green or Mike Tyson? Going to get your ass knocked out. You setting yourself up for failure. That's all I'm saying. You'll win the division this year, but next year when you playing a much tougher schedule because you won the division, I can't see them surviving. I don't. I see a lot of people being upset at what they see next year. So why are you setting yourself up for failure? I have absolutely no idea. But I put the link down in the chat, so I'll take a few calls and we'll go from there. In the meantime, let me read a few more comments. X says, it's no way we 5-5 with this schedule. We really better than our whole schedule on paper. Yeah, look, everybody pretty much did the predictions. Every podcast out there predicted what they feel like the Saints were going to do. And the season just didn't pan out the way that we all thought it was going to pan out. That's okay. That's fine. There's no problem with that whatsoever. I can understand that teams get better. I can understand that, organizations turn it around. But from what I've seen based on these teams, some of the same issues with these teams last year rolled over to this year. So you would think that the Saints, we were told the biggest issue that they faced was the fact that they weren't healthy, or Dennis Allen wasn't picking his guys. It was Sean Payton guys, right? Maybe a little bit of mutiny around his mug, right? I think I can do your job better than you. In this case, they probably right. But regardless, you don't want that in your ear. You don't want nobody saying that to you, right? So all these excuses about DA and why it just didn't work. Oh, we got to have it tailor-made. We got to dress it all up. We got to paint the walls. We got to redo the ceilings. We got to clean a carpet for Dennis Allen, right? We got it the way that he wants it, right? We done changed the house out. And yet still, he can't get the job done. But let's go ahead and go to Jerry. Jerry, how you doing, man?
What's up, TJ?
Man, how you doing, man? what you got for us?
Hold on a second. Go on to the next. I'll come back later, TJ.
Okay, all right. You got a phone call right there. So we're going to move on and go to King Arthur. King Arthur, how you doing, man?
What's up, Mom? I'm doing about as good as I could be.
Man, yeah. You sound like you're a little bit under the weather, man.
Nah, bro, I'm a little sore. Like Saturday, I got into a bad car accident.
Man, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Oh, man.
It's cool, big dog. Appreciate it. I'm not hurt. Just a little sore, bro. Somebody in the channel that decided he wanted to play on the road. But it's all good. Here's my question, TJ, and this is hard for me to say considering I'm about to be 36 years old. So you already know what type of time I'm on in terms of fandom when it comes to the Saints.
Right.
I gotta ask you this though, bro. Has the Saints, has this organization over the past, let's say, 8 years, like when Drew Brees started going on a downslide?
I'd say maybe I'd say about 2017. You can kind of see a little bit of a change in his game.
Okay, so based on that, would you say, man, it's hard for me to ask you, but would you say that the Saints organization has diluted the fan base into believing that we're still contenders while overshadowing the incompetence of this staff?
That's a good question, but I'm gonna say no. I think with this, I think they had a false sense of reality of who they actually are. You know, I think that they felt like they were much better than they actually were. And it's one of those situations where when you win a lot, King Arthur, a lot of people start feeling good about themselves. It's almost like, okay, like for example, you remember The Last Dance, right? With Michael Jordan, all right? So you remember the general manager of the team, right? The general manager of the team, they used to make that a lot of people would give Jordan and Pippen and Rodman and all these guys the credit for their 6 championships. But he always felt like, man, I'm responsible for bringing all these dudes together in order for you to win a championship. My point is, Jordan got upset, Pippen got upset, like, man, look, you ain't doing none of this without us. And he feels like, man, you ain't doing none of this without me. It's one of those situations where people have this false sense of reality about where they actually stand. So General Manager Mickey Loomis probably felt like, well, regardless of what happens with Sean Payton, I'm the one that brought him here. You get what I'm saying? Sean Payton probably felt like, yeah, you brought me here, but this team was nothing before I got here. You know what I'm saying? So you have all these different nuances. And like I said, football has a lot of egos. You got a lot of people out there that have huge egos. And I feel like they had this false perception of what this team actually is. I don't think it had anything to do with like alienating the fan base. I really legitimately feel that they believe that by removing Sean Payton and bringing in Dennis Allen, they will be the same team they were all this time. And that's just wishful thinking. But that's also one of those situations where I talk about some of these older, you know what I'm saying, these younger Saints fans. They have been around success so long that they don't even realize what failure looks like. So they feel like anybody can do what Sean Payton did. They feel like anybody can do what Drew Brees was doing for you know what I'm saying, for the most part. So to me, like, I just feel like that maybe they felt like they can actually continue to have success, but I don't think they alienated the fan base, man.
I get you, TJ. I think the egos start coming in heavy when you start to individualize team sports.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you got too many people oh, I'm this. Like I saw a clip last night. Your boy Jordan Poole, like while the coaches was having a conversation with the group, he turning his back, not paying attention, and then when somebody tried to grab his attention, that boy said, "This is my team. We're gonna be straight." That's what he said. Like he wasn't listening to the play the coach was drawing up or nothing like that. He was just like, "Man, chill out. This is my team. We gonna be straight." I was like, that's the type of dude I would have an issue with in the locker room, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. And I want to know is our locker room, which has been to me a staple in our city, is that locker room starting to fall apart, bro, morale wise, because of the incompetence of this coaching staff?
I think a little bit of that is true. I think a little bit what you're saying is true. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. You had something else to say with that?
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, what I was gonna say is I honestly believe that. Like looking at the interview with Malcolm Roach, looking at how Alvin Kamara was speaking a couple of weeks ago, even like some of the body language when I'm seeing when it comes to like Alvin Kamara in certain situations, that kind of speaks volumes to me. Look, I just think that these guys like Dennis Allen, but I think they're starting to realize that maybe he's not the answer. And maybe, it is hard. Like when you are putting your best foot forward and you're relying on coaches to put you in the best position to succeed, and it's not happening. You get what I'm saying? So that will mess up the morale and mess up the confidence in any locker room. So as far as I'm concerned, they can continue to go down this road, but they're not fooling anybody anymore. Like the Saints, to me, they have been protected by, the way that they move. In some cases, I'm going to be honest, sorry, folks. In some cases, they've been protected by the media. And now they're in a position that they haven't been in a long time, bro. I'm telling you, it's equivalent to somebody that grew up in a suburban neighborhood. And now, you know what I'm saying, like the bills are starting to come through and you trying to figure out, man, do I need to sell this house or I need to get something smaller? You have to think about this. The Saints have had a stable infrastructure for almost 20 years. That's unheard of. You ain't really have to fire people. You didn't really have to let people go like that because the majority of the things that you touch turn to gold. Yeah, you had a couple mistakes or now and then, but it didn't affect you as far as your success. So I think that's what they're feeling right now. And also, that's maybe one of the main reasons why they're not as aggressive as some of these other teams. Because these other teams throughout those 17 years been changing out coaches like they changed their draws. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that has something to do with it too, Keno.
Well, I'm gonna say this, bro, and I'm gonna get off your phone, bro. I don't. Again, this being a lifelong fan, bro. Before I knew who Bobby Abel was, you understand what I'm saying? So I don't want us to become one of those teams that's just happy to sell tickets. You hear me? Right. I man, that'll hurt my heart if the Saints devolve into that. And what I don't want to see happen is, like you was talking about, we not going nowhere post 2023 if this coaching staff is still here. I can agree with that, but I don't want to see some of this talent that we have opt to leave, like especially like a Rashid Shaheed. Y'all know that boy on the his contract is up. Like he was on, I think, on like a 1-year deal or something like that. Yeah. Like he got to be re-signed. So. Yeah. I don't want to see some of our players, our budding players like that, leave because they no longer believe in what's going on. Especially because of this coaching staff, bro. That's gonna hurt. Yeah. Then we really could be rebuilding.
Yeah, I agree. But I feel like when it comes down to it, nothing is going to change until they decide like to move on from Dennis Allen. And honestly, I just feel like they care so much about optics that they're willing to sacrifice the anger and the vitriol of the fan base just to try to bring him in for another year, just to say that they tried everything they can do with him. It just didn't work out. You basically could have easily done that this year. Pretty obvious. Last year, you could have easily said it wasn't going to work out. This year, it's obvious that it's just not going to work out. You can't win. You can't win last year. You couldn't win this year when the schedule is much easier. Like, what more do you want? I just don't know. But if they continue to move the way they've been doing and just kind of standing still, they're going to find themselves like being at the bottom because teams that are aggressively trying to get it don't move like the Saints been moving.
Right. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this, man. Y'all hit the like button on the way in and on the way out, and subscribe to the State of the Saints podcast. I see y'all in the chat. Don't act like y'all don't be ninja watching out here. Y'all be creeping and lurking, man. Just go ahead and subscribe, bro. Y'all ain't got nothing better to do, and it's the best podcast on YouTube. Stop playing. Go ahead and hit that like button.
Man, I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much, King Arthur, man. And I agree. Please hit the like button if you enjoy the show. But thank you so much, man. I hope you feel better, man. Sorry about the incident. But you know, I know everything gonna be okay, man. Just take it one day at a time.
I appreciate it, TJ. You know Atlanta got their streets is like graham cracker crust.
Yeah, man, it's crazy out there, man. That's one of them cities I do not like to drive in.
All right, homie.
Yeah. Shouts out to King Arthur, man. Yeah, man, I'm Atlanta streets, man. Who? One of the biggest issues that I have, man, is like driving when I'm coming from South Carolina, and I'm actually have to take the drive next week, going to visit some family out in Alabama. But I hate like driving 20 and getting into Atlanta city limits and that stop and go traffic. Like, man, I just can't stand that, man. That traffic is just insane. I don't see how anybody can just do that every day. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. But we're going to go ahead and move on. I think Jerry is back, if I'm not mistaken. I think he had a phone call, so we'll get back to him. Jerry, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, TJ. No, that was actually my dad that called me, and TJ, you and him can relate because he went to Jackson State as well, like you did.
Oh, okay.
He went back in the 70s. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Well, your dad got good taste. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes, sir. Hey, man, what you got for us, though, Jerry?
No, TJ, I was hearing you mention about Nintendo and Mike Tyson's Punch Out, Knockout, or what. I do remember that game. You're talking to somebody that grew up with Nintendo. That was long before all these PS5s and Xboxes, and you had Atari back then. You had Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. The list goes on, bro. You talk to an old school video gamer, bro.
Yeah, for real. Hey, I'm the same way, man. I still collect video games. I actually have a Super Nintendo and a Genesis at the house right now, man. So I love those games, man. Those were fun times growing up, man.
Hey, man, hey, that's what leads us where we are today because of those old school games, man, and I love it.
Yeah, no doubt about that, man.
Yeah, but TJ, I want to address something. And I speak for the Who Dat Nation when I say this. Everybody, we already know it's the same old stuff. It's the same old story every week. You know, when Dennis Allen come up to the podium and have what he have on his mind to say, we already know it ain't nothing gonna change. Nothing ain't gonna change, bruh.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. I mean, I'm right now.
Same old.
I'm just here so I won't get fined. I'm just seriously. But, I'm just here because number one, because of the loyalty of the team. I love this team, man. Regardless, like whatever going on, I'm still gonna look at them. I don't care what their record is.
Exactly.
But you have to be a fool, like, to just sit up here and just believe that they're just going, like, I feel like people just watching them Disney movies and the movies where a team just start looking like trash at the beginning, and then all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, they do that little reel where they play that soundtrack music in the background, and all of a sudden they start kicking off wins, and you see them high-fiving. You don't know how the movies go, and people just fall in love with that stuff.
I know what you mean, TJ.
You're basically setting yourself up for failure. That's all I'm saying. Like, when it comes down to it, you are setting yourself up for failure. If they win this division, and that is the reason why you decide to retain Dennis Allen, is one of the dumbest decisions ever. Because, man, think about this. If this was the NFC West over the last couple of years, or if this was the AFC East over the last couple of years, or even the NFC East, Dennis Allen, him retaining the job would be an absolute joke. The only thing that's keeping him alive is the fact that the division that the Saints play in is horrible. And because it's so horrible, it gives them the best opportunity to make the playoffs. So it's almost like, I don't know, man. It's like somebody it's like one of the movies or something like that when, you know, somebody looking for a buried treasure and all of a sudden somebody trip over a rock and they back hit the wall and they just fall into a whole room full of gold. That's what they're doing. Yep. And I just feel like it's just straight up delusional because next year you're going to be playing championship opponents who won their division and they're going to slap you around. That's just what it is. And it's going to be pretty obvious that you made a mistake and you're going to look like the biggest idiot on this side of the Mississippi. So
exactly.
I mean, that's just how I feel, Jerry. You got anything else, man?
Yeah, TJ. You know, we currently on the bye week right now. And we got 7 games to go. But I wanted to ask you, TJ, and I want to ask the entire Who Dat Nation. Shouts out to you. And I see my guy Deuce in the chat of a Who Dat Confessional. Good premiere from earlier, my brother. With 7 games coming up after the bye, what you think the Saints record gonna be? I mean, because I asked this with No Cap Sunday night. Do you think the Saints will go with them being at 5-5? Do you think they'll go A 12-5, B 11-6, C 10-7, D 9-8, E 8-9, F 7-10, G 6-11, or H 5-12?
I think they're gonna go 10-7. That's the schedule. I mean, that's what I feel. I think they're going. As of right now, I think they're probably gonna lose 2 more games. I think they're gonna lose to the Lions, and they might lose, man. And they honestly, I feel like they probably gonna lose to the Falcons when they come off their bye week, and they'll probably beat the Falcons when they have to play them at the end of the season. And I feel, I think, shouts out to Bobby Abe. I was actually listening to him, and he said that. He said it's probably going to come down to that Saints-Falcons game where they probably going to flex that to prime time, and the winner of that game is probably going to end up winning the division. Like, yeah. I really agree with it. Like, I think they're going to lose to the Lions, and I think they're going to lose to the Falcons. And I feel like they probably going to win the rest of their games. But these are the Saints that we're talking about here. I mean, they could easily They try. Right, for real. Like, they might lose 4 games out of like. And it's just I don't know. Like, I'm gonna just say 10-7 because of everything that's going on with these other teams. I feel like you're gonna catch the Giants when they trying to get into the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. Like, they done got themselves like kind of lock and step with the Chicago Bears. So if the Chicago Bears decide to keep Justin Fields, Caleb Williams is right there for them for the taking. So I don't think they want to jeopardize that to try to beat the Saints when they know for a fact they ain't going nowhere. And I think you have a couple other teams out there at that time. They probably gonna have some players that's saying Cancun on 3. So that might benefit them. On 3. that might benefit them. So that's the way I see it. That's the way I see it going, man.
Yeah, you're right about that, TJ, because I'm not gonna lie about Detroit because they playing some good ball. I mean, they just got through beating the Chargers this past Sunday. Yep. And I mean, those guys are playing good ball over there, and it'll be tough for us to beat them. Because Who Dat Nation, y'all know we got 3 games in December. We got Detroit on the 3rd of December. We got Carolina on the 10th of December, and we got the Giants on the 17th of December. And all 3 of them are at home. So it's gonna be kind of a wild stretch going forward.
Yeah,
but the way the Giants are playing, I mean, they just you talking about we looking bad, they look worse.
Yeah, I mean the Giants look awful, like god awful. And honestly, like I said, I don't see them change. I don't see their fortunes changing. I feel like they probably they are right there. They got the number 2 pick in the draft, if I'm not mistaken, due to the strength of schedule. And I don't feel like they're going to try to move away from that spot, because there's a chance they can get Caleb Williams. And even though you paid Daniel Jones, which was the biggest mistake that you can possibly make, I don't know what they was thinking with that one. But if you can get Caleb Williams, that can absolve that mistake, and you just kind of cut your losses with Daniel Jones. And that's what I feel like probably was going to happen. I'm trying to put the schedule up on the screen here so everybody can kind of see it. I hope everybody can see it. I know it's probably a little small. But like Jerry alluded to here, you got the Falcons coming off your bye week. Then after that, you're going to be taking on the Lions. Then you have a home game against the Panthers, another home game versus the Giants. And then you have the Rams, the Bucks, and a game that didn't show you got the Falcons one more time. That time you're going to be at home for the finale. So I can see, like I said, the Lions is the only team that I can look at, and maybe the Rams, because of Sean McVay, he can kind of cook some things up. But we saw that the Saints can beat the Rams too. So I don't know, man. But like I said, these are the Saints that we're talking about here. Nothing is easy. Like, we can't just look at the schedule and be like, well, I mean, we can't use proper logic when it comes to the 2023 New Orleans Saints. I keep on saying Sean Payton, the Dennis Allen led New Orleans Saints. Like, you can't. Nothing's for certain. Nothing's for certain with that. But Jerry, I want to thank you so much, man, for being here. I really do appreciate it, and make sure you call back anytime, man.
We'll do it. Somebody say they want you to resend the link in the chat so they can come in.
All right, I'll probably resend the link. Depends on like what these calls looking like, because I don't want to extend the show a little bit too long, man. I actually have something to do in the next 30 minutes. So depends on like if we can get through this, I'll resend the link. But thank you very much, Jerry. I appreciate it, man.
No problem, TJ. Shouts out to the chat. I love y'all. And who that?
All right, who that? Yeah, man. I'll depends on, like I said, with the calls. I'll see if I can resend the link, and I probably can have time for a few more calls. But we're gonna go to Dalton. Dalton, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you, bro?
Hey, I'm doing all right, man. Good day. Can't complain. What about you, man? How everything going?
Pretty good. I mean, last night it was a joke though, but I was glad that Ken Dorsey got fired today.
Really? I'm glad you mentioned that, Dalton. I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm looking at the game last night. Did you watch the game?
I did.
Okay, so I gotta say, man, a lot of things that I saw, I didn't have any issues like with the play call. It had a lot to do with the execution, man. Josh Allen does not look the same. Like, I don't know what's going on this year, but it's looking pretty bad. And also, I just feel like Ken Dorsey was a little bit of a scapegoat in this particular instance. Because, I mean, you have Sean McDermott, who is the head coach, Josh Allen, who's the quarterback. And I just feel like over the last couple of years, no matter what team you've given them, whether it's a team that had like elite players with good defense or lights out offense, they still can't get the job done. And they fold like a cheap 10 against some of the elite talent in the AFC. So I don't know, man. I think that Ken Dorsey isn't that bad, but I can understand, they use him as a scapegoat. What say you on that? I know you mentioned that. So what do you think about Ken Dorsey?
Like, honestly, I was not a big fan of him, though. I mean,
okay.
This offseason, let's not forget Josh Allen was on Madden cover, Miami Madden curse. Like, you saw Stephon Diggs. He's acting like a big baby.
Always. That's always, though, Dalton. I mean, this dude ain't never satisfied. Like, seriously. Like, this dude he won't rest until if Josh Allen is throwing the ball 30 times, he get 27 of them 30 passes. Like, dude, you got so many of these other young, talented players out there that can get the ball, too. So, I don't know. I think that, in my opinion, I do think that Stephon Diggs needs to go. And I think he plays a huge role in why that offense can't take that extra step, because I think they had some issues like at the beginning of the season between Stephon and Josh. I don't know, like they said it was personal. So I don't know what happened. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they were dating the same chick or what. I don't know. But it involved them having to sit down and have a conversation. But I didn't mean to cut you off about Stephon Diggs, man. Go ahead and continue, man.
No, you're good. Also, they don't run the ball a lot. I mean, I know James Cook, he fumbled the ball. So many times he stays injured. I like what they do Latavius Murray. Like, I feel like they're not utilized the running backs. Gabe Davis, him and Josh Allen's not on the same page. I like Dalton Kincaid. He's first-round tight end. I have a feeling he's going to take Dalton Knox's spot. And for some reason, I think Josh Allen's shoulder is messing up. I think it might be his shoulder as well.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, they're just a mere shell of what they were. And I mean, I watched my fair share of Buffalo. I think I watched every Buffalo Bills game this season. because most of their games been on prime time. So I mean, they have the talent. I mean, you got Shakir out there. He's the deep threat. You got Deontay Hardy is out there. He's caught some passes. Dalton Kincaid has been coming on over the last 3 games. Like he's been a touchdown and and a third down conversion machine. So there is something missing there, man. But I don't know if it's like, I don't think it has anything to do with the offensive play calling at all. I just think that it has a lot to do with these guys not being on the same page. But, I mean, they're going to have to figure it out, man. I mean, that game had no business being that close last night, so that's a testament to their defense. Because, I mean, 5 turnovers in a game, man, and you still only lost by, 1 point? Like, that's crazy.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, bro. What in the world that Andy, how you pronounce his name, didn't throw a flag against the Saints and the Rams in the NFC Championship. Now you got to throw Broncos and the Bills. That makes no sense.
Hey, that was I guess that was a little olive branch for Sean Payton, I guess. But that's the wrong team, wrong colors there. But we just wonder, like I said that last night. I was like, where was that when in the NFC Championship game in 2018? I was just wondering to myself. I have not a clue.
Yeah, makes no sense. But anyways, also on the Saints part, Dennis Allen, like he really needs to keep his mouth shut. He keeps saying like every time though, you feel like you're not trying really hard. You're trying to lose your job on purpose though. Like you're getting quarterbacks drama, all this Carr and Winston situated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think that, I don't know if Dennis Allen is intentionally like saying these things and is just getting misinterpreted, or he's just not like really understanding like the magnitude of his words. But that can come off like, like this dude don't have a chance. I don't understand, like, no matter what he do, like he still ain't gonna be good enough. That's kind of how people can read that. It's like saying like, why are we even having this type of conversation? Because Jameis Winston isn't even in the same room as Derek Carr. But if you look at it, it's not that big of a difference. But yeah, I think that it was just a wrong choice of words, and maybe people misinterpreted it a certain way in a certain thing. But I don't know, man. I guess that's just, you got to be careful at what you say, because it can be misinterpreted in a certain way, and people can run with that. So.
Agreed. And here's a question, though, and I'm not over hype on him. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback, because we never seen him play in the regular season. What about Jake Hayner? It feels like everybody's forgetting about him.
I feel like probably a good thing that people are forgetting about him, to be honest with you, because I wouldn't want to put him out there at this particular point unless you know for a fact that you're going to get something out of him. I feel like at this particular point, him missing 6 games to start the season, coming in at that particular time, you need some time to develop, because it wasn't the fact that he just missed those games. I mean, you're away from the team. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you was hurt. Like if you was hurt, you would still be in a facility, be able to get some mental reps, be able to look at footage, but you didn't even have that luxury. So I don't know, man. I think that maybe we'll see what he has next year, where, he has a full understanding of the offense, has a full year under his belt as, NFL professional, and we can go from there. I don't think that you're going to solve your issues with Jake Hayner at this particular point, but I think that you owe it to yourself to see what he has. And I think if he learns, then you may have something special brewing up. I mean, he's a talented guy. I mean, he's a guy that's not afraid to make a good pass. He makes smart decisions more times than not, but we'll see.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't mind if we draft a quarterback next year, because I think we should draft a quarterback wherever we make the playoffs or not, regardless, though. Maybe like a first round, second round, because like Derek Carr, like he's not helping us at all.
Yeah. Look, I think that you need to go quarterback, no doubt about it. I started off as a Derek Carr fan. I'm not gonna lie to you. I fell for the stats myself. I didn't really have I wasn't really familiar with his work when it comes to like watching him consistently. So I fell for the stats, but I just feel like he's just not the answer. Like based on about him making the decisions on the field, I just think that his personality is just not a good fit. And you just can't fake that. Like, you can stop doing it like in the game or whatever, but you already showed guys who you are. So it's kind of hard to try to, kind of mask that. So to me, between that and the conservative play and making more of a me decision instead of a we decision, I think you need to go in a different route, drafting a quarterback, because I think that's the route that the Saints need to go in order for them to have sustainable success in the future.
Agreed. Anyways, I'm pretty sure someone's gonna be waiting to talk about it though.
Yeah.
It was talking to you. I love talking to Saints though, and even though we did talk about the Bills, I always love talking to my brother. You have a good day, bro.
All right, you too, man. Look, I love football just like you, Dalton. Like any angle you want to go at, man. Yeah, I watch football, watch like all the teams when I can, man. So it's refreshing to hear like a different perspective, about a team. But so I appreciate that, man.
No problem. You have a good day, sir.
All right, you too. Yeah, man. Look, I don't mind, talking about different teams and stuff like that. But my former station manager and my mentor just walked through the door, man. So I got time for one more phone call. I apologize, man, but he's I'm pretty sure he has something important to talk to me about. So I got like one more phone call that I can get to, and I'm gonna go with Mick. I'm gonna try to get back on this afternoon or this evening, tonight or whatever, and I'll try to pick up some of these phone calls. So I apologize, man. And thank y'all for waiting. I see Josh and now I see Quinn. Josh, I'm sorry, man. My buddy, man, my boy. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry about that. I'm going to chop it up with you later, man. But let's go ahead and go with Mick. Mick, how you doing, man?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. What you got for us?
I'm going to keep it short and sweet for you, man. So just to kind of hit on a few things, the Jason Pierre signing, man, that was a little weird to me. I think, like you said, like you can obviously see that they need like youth and more speed on the D line. And no disrespect to Jason Pierre Paul, once upon a time he was that, but you go get basically another old guy to add to. It's just kind of weird to me, certain things like that. But yeah. I do want to give a prediction of how some things are going to go. Right. Man, you said 10-7. That gave me hope. I was thinking more like 6. Maybe they win another game because I just don't even know what to make of the Saints team. It hurt me to say this, man, but like when you used to, in the prime Drew Brees and Sean days, we'll look at teams and know we were about to beat them. Like, oh yeah, that's a dub, that's a dub. We'll go,
right.
I really feel like the Saints are that team for other teams now. Like other teams look at the Saints like, oh, we got the Saints this week. They gonna beat themselves. Most teams don't even have to beat the Saints. The Saints find ways to lose. I'm sorry, they do, and that hurt to say, but maybe the solution, man. I know you said Jake Hayner. That's interesting, because I think you stick it out maybe one more year with Carr, but I think the way this is going to go, if the Saints do find a way to win 10 wins, Pete Carmichael's going to get fired first, and then it's going to take another year of like mediocrity before Dennis Allen goes. And I hate to say that, but I feel like that's how it's going to go. It's going to go like one person leaving at a time.
Yep. I feel like they're probably gonna go that route because, like I already conceded that I feel like the Saints care more about optics and how they're portrayed as far as like public perception, and I think they will be willing to give him another opportunity, another year, just to try to save face when it comes to that. But look, I'm not trying to see I'm not trying to see Jake Hayner go out there and try to execute this offense when we see the struggles of this offense and the issues that's plaguing them right now. I don't want to see the young man's confidence get wavered because you have impatient Saints fans that saying he sucked too. So to me, I know the game. You know what I'm saying? I didn't watch enough Saints football, and I know Saints fans. Like Saints fans do not have patience, and some of them don't have a level of understanding. Understand like guys have to be able to work through some of the growing pains of being a young player and evolving into being a professional. And sometimes those fans are really loud, and louder than some of the more logical fans, because the logical fans aren't really on social media trying to beat the drum constantly saying that, this dude ain't the answer after 2 games. I mean, we seen this before. They did try to do the same thing with Paulson and Debo, trying to do the same thing with Lante Taylor in the slot. Impatient people. So I don't want to see Jake Haener out there. Like, I'm just being honest. I don't want to see a young guy out there in this offense that's trying to figure out what the heck is doing in the first place. Why put a young guy out there and mess up his confidence and make him feel like he's not good enough? But in reality, the coaching staff isn't putting you in a position to be good enough.
Yeah, I agree, man. Lastly, I just want to say, I think at this point, I'm thinking more cap numbers because I know Derek Carr is not it.
Right.
Unless Jesus comes down himself and bless Derek Carr with some type of immaculate recovery, he's not it. So I think I'm thinking more in terms of, we're about to eat half of this salary.
Right.
We're about to eat half of this $150 million. Either way it goes, And so if it is Jake Haener with a new coaching staff, man, so be it. I personally, I don't know what, man. I don't fall in love with the dude from LSU so much.
Jaden
I'm
Daniels,
like, and I'm like, man, he's right there in our backyard. But and then you see guys like CJ Stroud come in and like light the lead on fire. If Jake Haener is that dude, man, so be it. I don't care. I just know more than likely, in order to fix the Saints, we're gonna need a young QB that's talented and that's cheap. Because the good thing is, the one positive thing I would say, we do have a good depth of players. If this is Michael Thomas last year, you have something to A.T. Perry already. You got a young Olave. You got Kendrick Miller coming. Even on the defense with the safety, like Howden, you have young talent to where it's like, all right, we might be able to, do something. But it's just the biggest question is quarterback and coach. And I hate to say this, man, I never want to root against the Saints. I still root for them, even though they break my heart every other week. But it's almost like the more we win, the longer that's going to progress Dennis Allen and this regime being here.
Yeah.
And it's like, Saints fans, what do? Either we take it right now and we bite the bullet of losing, but your future is brighter, or do we have another year or two of mediocrity just to be mediocre?
Yep. Or be be more than mediocre, be bottom of the barrel. Because like I said, next year you're playing against championship opponents with won their division, and your division was bad. That's the reason why you won, and you can't match up with those guys. So we'll see, though, Mick, man. We'll see. But I want to say thank you, man. Appreciate the phone call. You call back anytime, man. All right,
thank you,
problem,
man. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Yeah, shouts out to Mick, man. Linda says, TJ, you need to hand in your resignation at the radio station. They getting in the way of your podcast. Never. Nah, man. I love my job. I love what I do. I just actually, to be quite honest with you, I basically, for the most part, record podcasts on my lunch break. So, and like I said, when he walked in, we have this new computer software that we just put in. So I'm pretty sure he needs to use this room to install something. And somebody put up there, talk about with Dalton. They said, I think this was David. He said, are you sure, TJ, that you're not talking to Patrick Mahomes? Yeah, Dalton does sound like Patrick Mahomes. I never noticed that. Like, y'all noticed that Dalton sounds just like Patrick Mahomes? Like, he does. Like, I never realized that, man. That's a good observation right there. Yeah, but he definitely sounds like him. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Like I said, I'll try to be on later on tonight if I can. Try to finish up, talk a little bit about Saints football, get your calls. You can check out previous episodes. They're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. You can check out HNSN. Every Wednesday is a new episode of the State of the Saints podcast, drop at 12 noon Eastern every single Wednesday. So make sure you download the HNSN app, and you can follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at TJAY Jones 8. Till next time, all I got to say is, who that?
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.